Okay, so last, but certainly not least, Melinda is going to talk about the LED relamp that she did in her store.
Yeah,
So take it away.
Thank you. All of you have wonderful pictures of all your stores and fronts, and I don't know why I didn't think to do that, but I didn't. But what I did do, our store was relamped in 2011. We had 20 inches of water in our store, flooded. Obviously not affecting the lights, but it was in time to be able to do a full store reset, and the crew at Pro Boston were amazing help with our full reset. So everything was already in the store itself, was already fluorescent tube. But I wanted to take a look and see what the opportunities were to cut costs in order to get a better return on investment. And at our annual buying show every year for Boswick Braun for the last few years, GE has done a promotion attempting to get people to do a relamp in their store, brighter, better LED. So that's kind of been one of those things in the back of my mind that took a while to process, but I finally was like, yeah, this would be a good opportunity, let's do it. And switching over to LED has made an amazing feeling of upliftedness in the store. Just better lighting makes for happier customers, better showcasing. It's just a bright idea. History of LED, it actually has been around for 55 years, which I found amazing. It doesn't seem like that's the case. But initially, LED lights were used in scientific equipment and indicator lights, so like your remote control, the little red button, all that kind of stuff. And today's LEDs are primarily a naturally blue light, and they get painted with phosphors in order to get them to be a white-looking light. And that blue LED light-emitting diode with the phosphors came out of Japan in 1994. So that's when LED lighting really started to actually become a reality in a white light situation. When it comes to LED lighting, there are 3 different ways you can go. You can do a bulb-only replacement, which means you just take literally the fixtures you have, you plug a new LED bulb into your 4-foot fixture, and you walk away. It's fast, so it doesn't take a lot of labor to do. It's least expensive, again, due to the lack of labor involved. You don't need to have anybody with any knowledge. You're literally just as if you're replacing a light bulb. But it's actually not as efficient as it could be, and you're still utilizing the older technology, the ballast within your fluorescent lighting, which more often than not is the part of the fixture that fails. So it's also the least reliable version of a replacement. Secondary, you can do new bulbs and do a small rewire. You essentially cut the wires to the ballast, which is kind of the brains and the voltage control behind your lighting. Rewire it, add 2 wire nuts, put your new LED bulb in, and you're off and running. Today's LED bulbs have an internal driver, which is the LED equivalent of a ballast, essentially, but it's integrated right into the bulbs now. You don't have to change your fixtures at all. You literally can leave the ballasts up there, they just no longer are wired to anything, you cut them out. So it's a little bit more expensive than the bulb-only option because it does take someone with a little bit of knowledge or at least a little bit of willingness to learn. Certainly don't necessarily need a certified electrician, but you do need somebody who's comfortable with the thought of adding some wire nuts and changing some things around. It's a very efficient process, and you're off and running. You can also do a full fixture replacement. Obviously, this is going to be the most expensive and the most time-consuming because you're literally ripping all of your current lighting out and replacing it all. But you will get kind of the cleanest, sleekest, newest looking effect. So drawbacks of going to LED, some of the reasons that I've been hesitant to do this project in the past is the thought of, oh my God, I gotta spend all this money at the outset before I see a return on the investment. For quite a while in the LED space, as they were becoming more popular, a lot of poorly engineered knockoffs were kind of the first to the show, and then you were seeing lots of quality issues. LED lights initially tended to be that kind of bluey white daylight side of the spectrum, and you were kind of like, that's a little overpowering, that's not really what I want to do. LEDs are actually heat sensitive, which I found is an interesting thing. The actual driver, the actual process of the light itself that is emitted isn't lost in power, but the guts, the drivers create a bit of heat, and that's why you'll find a lot of LED bulbs are created with, you'll see that a lot of them have kind of a fin design around the underside of the bulb that still allow the heat to dissipate out of the bulb. So advantages, of course, within LED, as they're quickly becoming a new industry standard, is that they're efficient. They have the highest lumen output of any type of lighting currently. They're between 2 and 5 times more efficient than any other type of bulb. Fluorescent, halogen, mercury vapor, etc. They only shine light in one direction as opposed to a traditional incandescent or halogen light bulb, because they're basically diodes printed on a circuit board. They only shine hemispherically, whichever way they're headed. And they don't need to warm up. Those of you with warehouses or cold environments, etc., it kind of takes 3, 5, 15 minutes, depending on the light, till it achieves full brightness. LED, milliseconds. They're durable due to the lack of filament in glass housings. They're vibration, impact, and break resistant, so they're a little tougher. You can run the forklift into them without smashing the bulb and having to replace it. They also have long life. This lifespan is actually getting longer and longer the better quality and the better engineered the bulbs are. 50,000 plus hours is not unheard of. CFLs have only a 10,000 hour lifespan, and traditional incandescent light bulbs were 1,000 hours when we were replacing them. Their lifespan isn't affected by rapid cycling, so it doesn't matter whether that's the storeroom light that you're turning on and off 50 times a day, or whether they're staying on. The amount of cycles doesn't affect LEDs. And they're not actually affected by cold temperatures. The Federal Department of Energy did a study on lighting in freezers and refrigerators in grocery stores, and found that actually at 25 degrees Fahrenheit, LEDs perform actually 5% better than they do at 70 degrees. So for us in Pennsylvania, it's not cold all the time, but it sure as heck is in the winter. So I have a lot of unheated warehouse space, so that's great for us. They're becoming more and more cost effective. Fixture costs are coming down as the competitive market keeps going. Lower maintenance costs, due to the longer life of the fixture, you have a lot less labor in replacing bulbs, replacing fixtures, and just plain they utilize 2 to 5 times less power than a traditional bulb, so you're lower cost to operate as well. So as far as project costs go, my total cost expenditure for the project was just over $7,500. 80% of that was my actual total fixture cost was $6,116.80. And I replaced 4 different types of lights within my store. 148 total fixtures. My average cost divided by my number of fixtures divided by my total cost gave me an average cost per fixture of $41.33. So strip lights we should all be relatively familiar with. I had a mix of T8 fixtures and some T12 fixtures still in my office areas and some of my back warehouse areas. You can see what we ended up with was our store floor itself. I'm utilizing just over a quarter of the current power that I was with fluorescents. And a third of the power I was utilizing in some of my storerooms. My troffers, actually this is my office space, my break room, bathrooms. Also again, total kilowatts per year utilized versus current. So again, a third of the power 40% of the power, just under half the power. This was interesting. Again, we had redone these not that long ago in 2012. The T5 fixtures, you know, as everybody's aware, those are the kind of dime-sized tubes, the smallest tubes. They're the most energy efficient of the fluorescent tubes, so thus I'm getting the least return on my investment by changing them over because they're already basically as efficient as you can get with a fluorescent. My warehouse lights, metal halide fixture, this was a 400 watt bulb that's in that fixture, and now it's 150 watts. Significantly brighter. I had previously replaced some of those a couple years ago as my warehouse staff were aging and were making mistakes on, well, I thought they wanted a 1/2 inch plywood and instead I gave them 3/4, whatever it was, you know, any excuse they could find that to the error was, well, you can't see the papers in the warehouse. Fine, we'll make it brighter. So I had already replaced this particular lumber warehouse. Most of the lighting I had replaced already, but I still had one to go. And then our dusk to dawn fixtures, we have 4 around the yard that still had not been converted over to LED. I had some that already had made the transition, but these were, you know, and obviously these are on average 12 hours a day, 365 days a year, because less in the summer and more in the winter, but you know, it's a significant amount of power. We made the decision to do it in-house. It gave a bit of a benefit bonus to staff members who wanted to work a few extra hours. And I don't know, I had staff that were willing, so I was willing to do it as opposed to doing outside contractors. It allowed us to utilize some current staff time, normally scheduled hours, as December can be fairly slow in the hardware industry. So that was great. And I also did pay some overtime to let them do it after hours in certain instances, so we weren't affecting the customer experience as we're pushing around this rolling staircase and ladders and whatnot. I had one experienced gentleman who used to be a contractor who now works for me, so he kind of led the project. I had 2 additional high school students who worked, one who works out back in my warehouses, one who works in the store floor, so depending on which lights were being changed, depended on which high school student was also working with him. So averaging their 2 just straight salaries. I didn't include, you know, insurance benefits, etc., into rolling this cost, but as far as, you know, amount they're paid on the paycheck, total gross pay. Came out to, you know, cost me $6.77 per fixture, over 148 fixtures to make that change. 13% of the total project cost. We utilized a typical normal electrical supplier that I order from weekly, and so thus I got wholesale cost on the fixtures. But it did mean that then I had to report that as being an end user. So the state of Pennsylvania has 6% sales tax, so I did pay the state their 6% that they were owed. So that represented 5% of the cost of my project. And the little miscellaneous stuff, like I mentioned, wire nuts. I bought my staff member an automatic wire stripper, so it automatically does the right amount of stripping in one crimp, one click, as opposed to having to work it back and forth. And our warehouses have some fairly high ceilings, and I have a man basket for forklift. So while they were working in the ceilings of some of the warehouses, forklift is running, so I accounted for that cost. And we had a little reward pizza snack evening one night. They worked till 9 to try to get this project finished up. So that was our miscellaneous costs. So return on investment, how quickly am I going to recoup this project? Penelec, which is Pennsylvania Electric Company, is our current power provider. They have a CLIP program, Commercial Lighting Incentive Program, to help update and allow for kind of cost offset. Our application is in, and we anticipate about a $900 rebate from the power company. Sodexo is actually the third-party company that has been contracted to, not by us, but in general, as through Penelec, to do the review and the application. And they kind of candidly laughed and said, well, in reality, you've been paying for this rebate on your power bill for the last 5 years or more, like that it was a initiative that was put into a fund that was created based on, this one line item at 0.01% of your power bill. So I figured, well, heck, I want it back. And then the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection also offers small business advantage grants. They have to be stream remediation, something to better the environment, so thus a lighting project qualified. They will give you up to 50% of your fixture cost back, minus any grants or rebates from any other company. So I potentially could make up to $3,000 back from them. My average cost a kilowatt was just about 10 cents a kilowatt. According to the calculator on the grant application, potential dollars saved in 2019, $9,100 in power, which is $25 a day. That's nuts. Like that's real dollars. So total installation cost, total hours to complete the project was 90. Total outset was $7,500. If I don't get any rebates at all based on power savings alone, it'll take me 10 months to recoup that cost. And like I say, I've already got a better customer experience with happier, brighter lighting. Have the potential to gain $3,500 back of that investment, and a total energy savings of over 68%. So I was pretty happy with it.
Very nice, Jeff. Okay, questions?
I guess my first question, which is maybe not a question as much as it is a comment. Have you thought about selling services out? This is very clear. I mean, you're very clear on what the rebate and all that kind of stuff is. Have you looked at this as a business opportunity?
I have not. My father's actually a commercial electrician. So part of me, somebody was talking about like that aha moment earlier, and I was like, well, this is dumb. Why didn't we do this years ago? No, I don't offer services. I don't offer off-site services. It changes insurances, insurance coverage is needed. So I guess short story, no, I wouldn't look at it as a different business opportunity. But with the strip lights that we offer, that we changed the store to, the bulbs that we changed the store lighting to, we've started selling. And obviously, my high school students, who typically don't get a lot of training, for those of you who are like some of my biggest excited sellers for them when they come in after school, because they're like, look what we did, like this is what you could buy. And they're about $10 a bulb. They're not, they're not the cheapest thing when I sell the normal T8 4-foot bulb for $3.99. But again, when they can kind of go, yeah, but look, you're 10 times the lifespan and you're the power savings, etc. It's pretty. It's pretty.
I would
This
challenge,
was shockingly.
Yeah.
This was a better result than I was truly expecting.
I might challenge you to look at your insurance. Might be worth it.
Okay. Fair enough.
There's a lot of warehouses out there that use this service.
Fair enough.
Oh, then I missed it.
Touched on something. No.
Any other questions?
Ballasts. I personally had not realized how much power a ballast actually takes. Because you look at a T8 bulb and you're like, okay, it's a 20-watt bulb or a 28-watt bulb or whatever it is, and it's being replaced by 13. That's half-ish. Ballasts are huge power hogs. That was an interesting finding to me.
Did you inquire with the power company about any possible future rate hikes?
Because of my lower consumption, you mean? Or
Just in general, like we went through this expense of doing this in our location. We spent probably about $10,000 to change the whole thing over. That fall, they increased the rate almost double to offset what we were supposed to be saving. Yes.
specifically in your account though, or like in town?
In town,
change?
because we will as a retrofit LED program.
Yeah.
And so we were getting fairly successful getting businesses in town to convert, which was then costing the town money. And the power plant is like the main backbone of our town, so of course they're not gonna lose revenue. So they doubled our rates, and they hit the businesses with a special rate because we're a business, which is higher than residential.
One thing to counter that is keep in mind anybody who hasn't upgraded to LED,
Right, just hit it, yeah.
they're still paying the same amounts and can still save the same amounts. Because yeah, even though you guys are paying a lot more with LED, the guy with fluorescent bulb just
Getting hit even
Wait,
that much harder.
yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Great information, very clear. Love the fact that you use Prezi just for something different, very creative, like that.
All right,